Hey there, welcome back to Mindfully Well with Mel. I'm your host, Melissa, and today we're diving into something that affects every woman as she moves through her 30s and beyond. It's resilience. Have you ever noticed that your body, it just doesn't bounce back the way it used to? Maybe workouts that once energized you now leave you feeling very sore or dragging for days, or that glass of wine affects you way more than it did a few years ago. If you're wondering why your body seems more sensitive and far less forgiving than it once was, this episode is for you. Because today we're talking about why women naturally become less resilient after 35, how it directly connects to weight loss resistance, and most importantly, how to rebuild that resilience in a way that works with your new hormonal reality and not against it. This isn't about just accepting the decline or just getting old. It's about understanding the new rules your body is playing by so you can truly thrive in this phase of your life. So let's dive in. Hey guys, before I get to today's episode, I want to let you know about an exciting series that I have coming up on April 22, 23, and 24. It's completely free, and I'm inviting you to join me. Because if you've been doing all the things, you eat clean, you work out, you maybe count your calories, and yet nothing is changing, it isn't you, it's your strategy. In my free upcoming webinar series, the Inevitable Weight Loss Series, I'll show you exactly why weight loss in midlife or after 35 feels impossible and the three shifts that make it inevitable. No gimmicks, no eat less and move more, no BS. Just real science backed solutions that work with your hormones, your metabolism, and stress, and not against them. So make sure and sign up today. You can go to the show notes to sign up, or you can send me a DM on Instagram. You can tell me series or inevitable, and I'll send you the link right away to sign up. Okay, guys, today we're going to talk about resilience, specifically after 35. I've been having this conversation a lot with my clients lately, or with prospective clients looking to join Mindfully Well, and just feeling confused on why our body behaves the way it does. And when I am doing lab testing on someone, specifically Dutch testing, and if I can see how much estrogen they're creating and how much estrogen they're detoxing, and I also hear some of their symptoms, it's easier to put two and two together. But I also want you to know that from this episode, we don't have to do lab testing in order to put two and two together. I want you, for one, to know what is inevitable that will happen with your body. It's estrogen will decline, because as long as we live long enough, we're going to go through menopause. And when that happens, our estrogen will decline. And the significant thing about this that we need to know is that I also want you to put two and two together, because we tend to think that like our cholesterol is high because we get older. Our heart is less healthy because we get older. Our workout tolerance is less because we get older. But I also want you to think that it's not because necessarily you're getting older, it's because you don't have estrogen. And estrogen is protective. Estrogen is your built in recovery system before age 35. Typically, 35 is when we start to see some hormonal symptoms shifting. Now, perimenopause could yet be, well, I'll say menopause could yet be, 15, 20 years away for you. But that doesn't mean that things aren't shifting that early. 35 and beyond. I can say, certainly, I started noticing things in my late 30s. I'm going to talk about some of those symptoms today, and it might just help you put two and two together as to why you feel the way you do. And I also want you to know that nothing has gone wrong when this happens. We're supposed to slowly stop producing estrogen, but we can offset what estrogen had done to us before, what had done for us before. We can offset ourselves by taking great care of our bodies. And I'm going to talk about what that looks like today. So when estrogen's on our side and it's being really protective for us, it looks like recovering from your workouts really fast. It looks like your mood after a stressful day isn't that bad. It looks like your skin is glowing, and it even will help you get away with a slice of pizza or two or three during a work week or on the weekend without immediate consequences of bloating and constipation and wondering what you just did to yourself. Estrogen isn't just about reproduction, it virtually affects every system in your body. Did you know that you have estrogen receptors everywhere? Everywhere in your body, you have estrogen receptors. This isn't just to produce humans and pregnancies and have babies. This is an actual like chemical hormone that affects many things in our body. So for our muscles, that was the first symptom for me, is that I was not recovering from my workouts like I used to. My soreness would be longer. I just couldn't lift what I used to lift. Like things just always felt heavier than what they used to feel like. And I just couldn't do what I was doing before. Um, so that was my first symptom. And I tend to think like this is probably one of the most common ones that people will see when they start to have those decrease in estrogen. Estrogen also reduces inflammation, and inflammation is what happens after exercise. So if your estrogen is low, your inflammation would be higher. And especially after exercise, that's an inflammatory response. Your estrogen is not helping you decrease that inflammation. It's naturally going to make you feel more sore. And so a 30-year-old woman might bounce back from an intense workout within 24 hours. And while the same workout for a 40-year-old woman might take you 48 hours. For your brain, estrogen supports a neurotransmitter function. And this just means your mood, your recovery, your brain clarity. I know that that was the number one thing that I was like, WTF, why can't I find my words? Why am I talking to somebody? And I completely forgot what I was talking about. I will say that that is so much better now that I have cleared up my gut issues. My gut was the majority of my brain fog. But it is like, I think anyone after the age of 45, especially would tell you that like that mental clarity just isn't there like it was before. And then also sometimes the emotional recovery and the resilience to just day-to-day stress seems to sometimes be better when you're younger. But I'll also say on the other side of that, that sometimes it is better when you're older because you have so much more wisdom and you just stop caring about things that you don't need to care about anymore. I can say that when I was younger in my like late 20s, early 30s, I was a newlywed and everything bothered me. And now we've been married for like, I don't know, 13 years. I don't know how long we've been married, somewhere around there. And, you know, pretty much nothing bothers me now. And I think that's because of age. It's probably because of also confidence in your relationship and knowing your significant other more. But the little things, like, I'm just like, whatever, it doesn't matter. And so, like, things like that, I definitely stress less about. But I would say the uncontrollables in an environment or maybe kid stuff or, you know, actually it's more like little stuff. Let's put it this way. Noises bother the SHIT out of me, like annoying noises, repetitive noises, things like that. I have a harder time tolerating. And I definitely notice that because I try to, since I'm, you know, I really want to help women in midlife and perimenopausal women. I'm in a lot of groups with perimenopausal women to learn so much more, right? My experience is just my experience. And I want to teach from a lot of different experience. So I hear a lot of symptoms and questions and things about perimenopause. And I will definitely say that a lot of women in perimenopause start to notice that noises make them want to lose their mind. And so for me, that feels, right? That feels like a stressor that I could have handled at one point in my life. And now all of a sudden I cannot deal with that. Right. So for metabolism, estrogen is wonderful with insulin sensitivity, and insulin and your blood glucose are essential to metabolic health. So they're essential for the food that you eat and moving it and converting it into energy instead of moving it and converting it into body fat. So when you don't have estrogen on your side, you're more easily storing that food that you're eating as body fat and not using it as energy, which is why you might feel tired after eating and you're not losing weight at all because you don't have estrogen on your side to help you with that. For your bones, estrogen is crucial for maintaining your bones sensitivity and preventing calcium loss. So it's very important that all women are lifting weights, but it's essential when you're in your late 30s and beyond. Don't stop until you die. lifting heavy weights. Literally, don't stop because your bones start to become very brittle. That's why you see older women with osteoporosis and breaking their bones is because they don't have estrogen anymore. And that estrogen was keeping their bones very healthy. And then weight training was not like a part of even my mom's life, and let alone my grandma's and my great grandma's, right? They probably had like my great grandma maybe, or even my grandma probably did more weight bearing things just because they had to do things manually. I know my grandma, they had a farm and all of that. So probably a lot of that. But I can say for sure, once she wasn't on the farm anymore, there was absolutely no strength training. So she had to have lost a lot of that bone density. For your skin, what you notice is that, oh my gosh, my skin is so dry. My skin is crepey. It's wrinkly. And this is because we slowly lose collagen, and estrogen actually promotes collagen production. So you can see why that is why we probably feel like we age like at an accelerated rate when we hit that age group of 35 to 45. Because we lose so much of that moisture and the collagen in our skin, which keeps it youthful and plump. And that's because of estrogen. So you can see why, when I hit perimenopause and hormones are going low, that I look different, right? And that's because you don't have estrogen creating and kind of like replenishing things for you as your skin cells start to die off and collagen starts to die off. It's not repairing that for you anymore because you don't have estrogen. For your heart, it keeps your blood vessels very flexible and it supports healthy cholesterol levels. So this makes sense now, right? As to why once you get to perimenopause age 40 and beyond, whatever, somewhere in there, that all of a sudden your cholesterol changes and you're like, I didn't do anything different. I still eat the same foods. I still do the same exercise. Why is my cholesterol like this now? And your doctor will say, oh, it's because, you're older. And that's just what happens. But it happens because you don't have estrogen. So, and then the other reason why it happens is because of blood sugar instability. So we love to blame high cholesterol on genetics, which that is true. I will say that there is definitely truth to that. But then the other thing is like, we definitely want to blame it on fats and say like foods that have high cholesterol are things I shouldn't eat if I have high cholesterol. What you actually need to focus on is blood sugar stability. When blood sugar is unstable, then that directly reflects your cholesterol. So instead of focusing on things like red meat and eggs, which actually those help with blood sugar stability, you don't want to take those out. You actually want to focus on blood sugar stable meals instead of omitting food groups because you're afraid of that cholesterol. That's actually false information. Work on your blood sugar stability, your cholesterol will find its place. So that's why many women find that weight loss becomes significantly more challenging after 35, right? You can see like you don't have your helper anymore around that you actually had no idea was doing so much for you until she was gone. Right. We, when we're in our 20s, early 30s, we're like, oh, this is just how we feel, which is great because we don't know anything different until all of a sudden estrogen leaves our side and we're like, oh, I actually took you for granted. I would love to have you back. And it's too late. So let's talk about some of those first signs of that declining resilience that women often dismiss. And you're just like, this is part of being older, or maybe I'm just at this part of my cycle and it'll be better next week, but yet it just never seems to get better. And you just keep waiting for it to get better, but it doesn't. This is a sign that it's your resilience that is starting to decline. And just so you know, when I say resilience, I don't mean you as a person. I mean your physical body. The resiliency is just not there like it was before. And all of you that are experiencing this, I know that you know what I'm talking about. I know you're still a strong, badass woman. I'm not saying you're not resilient, but your body is less adaptable as it was at one point. So, what are some of those early signs? The first one is what I had said before: the recovery just isn't what it used to be after workouts. That workout that once probably felt really good afterwards now maybe leaves you really sore, dragging, you have low energy. You just like can't bounce back from it. You just need more time, or you just simply cannot seem to put on muscle whatsoever. So, you go in, you try to lift heavier, and it doesn't work. Like the 15-pound dumbbell feels like it's 25 pounds and it never gets easier. So your muscles will feel sore longer, and weights that used to feel manageable are feeling heavier, even though you haven't really changed anything in your routine. And that's the most frustrating thing, is that you can't pinpoint it because nothing has actually changed for you that is tangible, that you can say, this is the reason why. And then there's your sleep. You might be getting the same number of hours, but you wake up, you feel different. You feel like you barely got to close your eyes overnight and you just tossed and turned most of it. Or you might think it must be my mattress. I'm not getting the restorative sleep like I used to, or I'm not getting the deep sleep. Your husband wakes you up so much easier. It feels like you're always in a light sleep pattern and you never get into a deep sleep pattern. You might blame outside stress, which that can definitely throw in for into your sleep, but also maybe at one point you could have still slept, but now you can't because of stress. Another sign is how you respond to cravings. What used to be an occasional sweet tooth becomes like a daily battle. And sitting with discomfort and like the urge to eat something or drink something feels much harder to tolerate, and to just let it sit there and to let it pass. You seek more comfort maybe in scrolling, hitting some Netflix, or just like the dopamine seeking behaviors that make you feel good and also make you just feel like a normal person sometimes. Because sometimes it can just feel like, why do I have so many cravings? Why do I always want to eat this stuff? Why can't I just say no and move on? Why do I like, it's always there, that urge and that desire to eat the XYZ. I just can't say no like I used to. I've definitely noticed this for myself, is that, I used to do bodybuilding, and I could say no to anything. It was not a problem. I was like, no, I just don't. I am much so a goal oriented person. So I was always thinking about that too. And I still am, and maybe it's because it's not worth it anymore. Also, what does that mean? It's not worth it anymore. Um, but I could sit through any discomfort. It felt like emotional discomfort and not give into it. It's fine, could let it go. And now it's like the emotional discomfort is so much louder and annoying, and it's harder to not give into it. And that's all I can really put into words, because I know that those of you that feel this, you're sitting on the other end and you're nodding your head, because it is hard to say tangibly what is actually going on here, but everything just feels harder because your brain wants to seek that dopamine so much more than what it used to. And part of this is because I think we just feel discomfort on a higher amount. We have a less tolerance for discomfort, and it's like the volume on discomfort is totally turned up. Like somebody turned the volume up, they hit the up button lots of times, and now the intensity is there. And what just seems to be easy is now just a touch harder than what it used to be. And eventually, you think it's just going to get better. It's just because I'm in this time of the month, or it's just because I've had more stress lately. Maybe it's because of XYZ, or I was on vacation. I'm just having a hard time bouncing back, whatever it is. But then pretty soon you realize it's just never actually getting better. And those off days are just now your new normal. That's not because you're doing anything wrong. That's because your body's rules have changed. Nobody gave you the rule book. One thing I will say is, like, we all at least got to have a class in when we were in the 5th grade about our period. And our parents also maybe sometimes talk to us about our period, maybe not. Nobody is having a class on menopause. I mean, the third of the female population is going through menopause or is in menopause, and nobody wants to tell anybody what is actually going on here. Now, it is getting so much better. I will say that. Like, Oprah's having a big thing pretty soon, I think. And there's a lot of physicians out there that are paving the way, and there's a lot of, more information than what there used to be. But it would be nice if it was like maybe a requirement. I also think that should be a requirement for pregnancy as well, but that's another topic for another day. Okay, so let's talk about what all of this resilience actually has to do with weight loss resistance. It actually has everything to do with it. When your resilience declines, your body shifts into a very protective state, right? So I talked about the volume being up. That is also your body's protection being turned up. Because if the volume is being turned up on your responses and your hearing of the things that are being communicated to you in your body, so like the urges and the desires and like just feeling like you can't get your shit together and everything feels hard, right? That's your body talking to you. And if it's saying those things to you, it also believes that it's not safe and that it's going to try to protect you. So when your recovery slows down, when your sleep quality drops, when you're constantly seeking comfort, your body is essentially sending one clear message: I don't feel safe enough to let go of these resources. It's like, hey, friend, we lost our best friend and we're really trying hard to cope here. And you're going to have to do things different. It's what your body is telling you. And a primary resource that your body wants to hang on to when it doesn't feel resilient is body fat. And that's why so many women hit 35, 40, 45 and suddenly find that their weight loss approaches that worked before now seem completely ineffective. And it's not that you're doing anything wrong, it's that your body is responding exactly how it should to a perceived threat. It's lost its very cush best friend that did a lot of work for it, which was estrogen. And now every time you push yourself through an exhausting workout when you're already depleted, every night you shortchange your sleep to get more done, every day that you power through your stress without adequate recovery, your body responds by tightening its grip on its fat stores, slowing your metabolism and increasing inflammation, all of which make weight loss impossible. And I also want to let you know that this is where Mindfully Well comes in, because the approach to weight loss is fundamentally different than anything else you'll find out there. And also, FYI, I'm going to throw this in here, is that Mindfully Well will be open the week of April 21, which is, I think, about 3 weeks from when this episode airs. So you can go to my Instagram and DM me waitlist, or you can go to the show notes and you can sign up for the waitlist there as well. So you can be one of the first ones in. Because I'm going to talk about what Mindfully Well does differently and why we cover all of the things that you need to do in order so your body can cope without estrogen, without its protective EFF. Now, you can for sure, like you could do a hormone replacement therapy once you go through menopause and you have like no estrogen. But that being said, not everyone wants to do it. And also, if you're going to be on hormone replacement therapy, you need to be doing the basics to keep those hormones and keep your hormones really healthy. We can't just put a band-aid approach and just put estrogen in our body and expect it to function exactly how it should. You should be doing the daily lifestyle things, which I'll talk about, in order to support hormone replacement therapy. So this is where the Mindfully Well approach is, it's just different. And it's the foundations to being able to cope without estrogen. Instead of fighting against your body's protective mechanisms with more restrictions, more intense workouts, we just focus on rebuilding your resilience. And when we rebuild resilience, your body feels safe. And when your body feels safe, it does what you want it to do, which means it creates more hormones for you. It rebalances hormones for you. It allows you to sleep. It allows you to burn body fat. It allows you to do so many things when it feels safe. So one thing that we do is that we can do hormone testing and we get to see exactly where your specific body needs support. And from there, we create nutrition protocols that signal safety to your body instead of deprivation. We also talk about your movement practices so that we can build your energy instead of deplete your energy. And we address the stress patterns that are going on that keep your body in a protective state. So stress comes from many areas in your life, as we know, your day-to-day stress, environment, food stress, sleep stress, family, all of that matters. All of it impacts. And the compounding effect of stress will also exacerbate the fact that you don't have estrogen on board helping you. And so that stress makes a much bigger impact and a big splash on what you feel from your stress. And what amazes me is watching what happens when women in the program really start to rebuild their resilience. Not only do you just naturally feel better, more energetic, more clear headed, more like yourself, but suddenly your body starts to respond again. The weight that was once impossible to lose now begins to shift. Not because you're fighting harder against your body, because you're rebuilding resilience, and your body begins to feel safe to let that body fat go and to use that body fat as energy. And this is the missing piece in the weight loss conversation for women over 35. It's not about finding the perfect diet or exercise plan. It's certainly not about omitting certain food groups or doing intermittent fasting or crazy fasting hours and days and whatnot, or doing some sort of complete overhaul on your life and your diet. It's really about building your resilience so your body no longer needs to protect you by holding on to weight. So let's talk about the essential practices that you need to start building, depending on where you are in your age group. If you are before 35, I want you to kind of think about this as the thing that you're going to start to bring in and prepare your body for that part of your life. Because here's the other thing is that we don't have to get to age 35, 40, 45 and then start. The sooner we can start these practices, the easier this transition is going to be for us. And I can say that the women who have gone through menopause and didn't have any of this support or any of this knowledge, they wish probably for every woman out there who is younger than them that they could have access to this information. So do yourself a favor and start implementing this. No matter what age you are, it's definitely going to help you. It's never a waste of time. It's not too late. Start implementing these things. So the first thing is mastering your stress, not just management. I mean, meditation is great, journaling is great, breath work is great. But if we don't take care of our minds as well, that stuff is only going to take us so far. So in Mindfully Well, I don't just tell you to meditate, although we give you tools and things like that to help you manage it. We actually create cognitive changes on how you think and how you feel and how you act around your stress. Because the truth is, many of the circumstances that you're stressed out about are not actually circumstances that require a stress response or that you even want to feel stressed about. Many times we are creating issues out of things that aren't actually issues. And if I can help you see that through coaching, then you start to see yourself differently in how you're thinking about things. Because the reason we feel stressed, the reason we feel out of control in our lives and in our bodies is because of what we're thinking. It always comes down to that. And so that is where we put a lot of our energy and a lot of our time is how you're thinking, how you're feeling, and then what you're doing from that. And that is going to move the lever the most, the quickest, the fastest, because you are in charge actually of your body and how your body responds to things, especially with your thoughts. The other thing we work on is metabolic flexibility. So this means teaching your body how to use carbohydrates as fuel, and then also to be able to shift into fat burning for fuel. Ideally, we are getting you to be burning your food that you're eating right after you eat it. Your body's like grabbing it and is like moving it into the cell to be used for energy right away. And you're not storing body fat. And then in between meals and overnight, your body taps into your body fat and starts to use that. Many of us are stuck in a carbohydrate burning cycle. We just burn sugar all day long. And this is because of blood sugar instability. Even if, here's the shocker, you guys, even if you're on a low carb diet, your body can still stay stuck in sugar burning, right? So it's not that you need to eliminate carbohydrates. It's not that you need to go into keto. That's not the easiest way out. The easiest way to fix this is to eat all food groups and to do so in a way that is blood sugar stable. So that means you prioritize protein, fat, and fiber, and then your starchy carbohydrates so that you're having carbs, your body gets that energy, which it loves and appreciates, and it uses that for energy right away, but it's not an abundant amount of carbohydrates. It's a slow amount and it's slowly absorbed. Also, remember in Mindfully Well, we're always establishing what lifestyle you want to live. This isn't a lifestyle that you're building for me. It's a lifestyle you're building for you. And if you don't plan to be keto forever, if you don't plan to be paleo forever, if you don't plan to be Whole30 forever, whatever it is, then that's not your strategy. It's not going to stick it's not going to stick ever, right? So if you plan to eat carbohydrates, and I think you do, then wouldn't you rather learn how to eat them and love them and enjoy them and use them for fuel and then also be able to burn body fat? That's the ideal. That's really where we want to get you. The other thing we do is that we support natural hormone production. So even if you are menopausal and your ovaries aren't producing hormones anymore, guess what? You still are producing hormones, and we still want to optimize how your body's producing hormones. And one of those things that we work on is cortisol. So cortisol we work with your stress and your stress perception and things like that as well. But there's other ways that we support cortisol, so that we're creating enough of it and at the right times of day. And we do that with your sleep routines, with your meal timing, with your wake up routines. So your body knows what to expect and when to expect. And it naturally has a beautiful cortisol production process. And cortisol, there was an episode a couple weeks ago, and I think it was the hormone that's actually in charge. If you haven't heard that, that explains a lot on how cortisol actually affects your estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. We tend to think that they're just, each its own and they have nothing to do with each other, but actually they all respond to cortisol. So we can actually very much so directly impact our cortisol. And so that's the one we want to manage the most instead of trying to go in and trying to manhandle estrogen and be like, don't leave me. Let me give a bunch of HRT of estrogen and see if this will make me feel better, which is fine if you do that and that supports you. That's not what I'm saying. But we can directly impact our cortisol. And so if we're going to put time and energy in something, it's definitely going to be cortisol. And that's something that we work on in Mindfully Well. We also make sure that your workouts are going to energize you instead of deplete you. So many times I find women are just doing workouts just to do them, to check it off the list. And so they'll sign up for a class or they'll go to the studio or they do that in XYZ, and there's not any strategy behind this. And the reason we want strategy is because muscle does not grow easily for us anymore, if at all, if we're being honest. So we have to go in with strategy. We have to know that we're actually putting our muscle time under tension. So that means that it is under tension for a certain amount of time. And basically that tells your muscle to break down and grow and be stronger. And that comes with strategy. You can't just go in willy-nilly with your workouts anymore. But that being said, if you are paralyzed by that and you're like, I don't know what that means, just please move your body. That's better than nothing. But if you're really interested in creating muscle and keeping muscle on your body, then you want to go in with strategy. And that's something that I teach you in Mindfully Well as well. And I teach you about the process of creating muscle, building muscle, keeping muscle. You also get access to online workouts in an app, so you can keep track of your weights and your sets and your reps. And so you know that you're actually getting stronger, and it's great feedback. And then the other thing that we really work on is your mind-body connection. We want to not only, the thing we think we want is to lose weight. But that's not true. We actually want to have the feeling of weight loss. And the feeling of weight loss is confidence. The feeling of weight loss is feeling light and at ease and feeling like your body is home. That's the real thing that we want. And that actually has nothing to do with the scale. And one of the things that we need to do is that we need to create a mind-body connection. We need to understand, what is our body telling us? We need to understand, what is our mind perceiving from our body? Why does my body feel out of control? Why is my mind telling me that we're out of control? And the other thing that it will help you do with this is that you don't let health ailments go too long anymore. One of the things that I really see a lot of in Mindfully Well is inflammation. And with inflammation, when you've been inflamed for so long, it's hard to know that you're inflamed because you think that that's normal until we get rid of the inflammation, which we actually do that within about the first 4 weeks of Mindfully Well, is that you have a huge kind of inflammation flush. And then you really build that mind-body connection. And now if you happen to become more inflamed, you catch it right away. And it's things like that now you start to really listen to your body and understand what it's telling you. And also you're able to achieve goals so much easier and better then, because sometimes you come into Mindfully Well and you're like, I want to lose 40 pounds. And that's great. But if the reason behind the 40 pounds is confidence, It's because you want to get dressed with ease. It's because you want to wear fun clothes again. It's because you want to be able to put a bathing suit on and swim with your kids this summer. If it's because you just want to have freedom in your body and you want your body to just feel like home and feel like yours, you don't want to look at your body anymore and say, I don't know what happened. I don't recognize this woman anymore. And you're just like WTF all the time. I'm out of control. I don't feel like I have control. I don't feel like I can make any changes. What you want is opposite of that. And that has nothing to do with actually 40 pounds. It has everything to do with you moving into a body, you moving into your body that truly feels like yours. And it feels like home and it feels like comfort instead of something foreign to you. And the truth is, like, you can achieve that with 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, and maybe you'll find that it is 40 pounds. And that is okay. There's no right or wrong here. But if we think that it comes once you hit 40 pounds, we're going to be very disappointed when that happens. And so we want to create a mind and body connection to know, actually, when am I starting to arrive to feel at home in my body? And it actually happens really soon, especially in Mindfully Well. Because the thing is, like, a lot of the thing that we're missing is building trust with ourselves. Building trust that we'll do what we said we were going to do. That, oh, I said I was going to meal plan this week and I meal planned. And I had my foods ready and I ate them and I felt fantastic and I had energy. And then I ended up sleeping at night. It was crazy. And then I slept at night and then I actually just felt so much better at work and it wasn't as stressful. And I actually got home at 5 p.m. and I didn't lose my shit on my kids because I wasn't hangry. It's amazing how it all flows into each other. And it all really stems with that, really building trust with yourself and creating a mind-body connection and trusting you and that you can do this and you can do the things that you need to do to take you to where you want to go. And so ultimately, just so you feel like your body is home. So that is today's episode, my friend. I hope that you can see how estrogen it either is still your protector and your BFF. So if you still got her around, rally with her, thank her, be happy you still have her. And if you're starting to notice that maybe estrogen is starting to leave the picture, I really want you to start bringing in some of the things that I talked about today, thinking about your blood sugar, thinking about putting on muscle, and then really managing your stress is the biggest one. And if you want help with that, make sure to head to the Mindfully Well waitlist in the show notes, or you can DM me on Instagram at Melissa_Eich and say waitlist, and I will send that to you as well. Also, the Inevitable Weight Loss series is going to be April 22, 23, and 24. And I'm going to teach you on each of these topics in that series. And so this will be a fantastic add-on to this that will really help you understand and comprehend everything that I am teaching you so that you can ultimately feel at home in your body. All right, my friends, have a fantastic week. I will see you next week.